Hey guys! The quickest intro in the world. It's a Sunday afternoon, I'm a little bit bored and I figured I would do a video that I feel like I owe you, since I never really show you my collection when we do Shop My Stash videos, and I know it's very customary for people to show their collection and show the process of selecting products, but my setup for doing that is really inconvenient because I have an Alex drawer on one side, I have my desk on another side, my tripod really can't go all the way up to the top drawers of the Alex drawer, and then I have to like hold with one hand the camera and I have to like pick products and open them with my other hand, and it's just not working out. So I decided to do the little baskets and just show you that. But as a compensation for not showing you my collection every time we do these videos, I thought I can just do like a little updated collection video. So this is my 2021 makeup collection. It's still probably going to undergo changes over the course of the next year because there are products that I still want to declutter. But as of now, this is the state of my collection. Let's start with the Alex drawer and work our way from the top up. So this is the bottom drawer. In here we actually have products that you have seen recently, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them. On this side here we have this little container where I have all of my lip glosses, and just for reference, most of my lip glosses are from Pat McGrath Labs. I do have a video where I have lip swatched all of my Pat McGrath lip glosses, so if you would like to go and see it, I will link that up somewhere on the screen, I think on this side. But essentially I think I only have two lip glosses that are not Pat McGrath, and these are these two from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I should probably open them and smell them because they have been in my collection for quite a few years and I'm not sure that they're still good. But for now I'm just going to leave them here. Oh yeah, I also have this one from Anastasia, sorry. I have these three from Anastasia, but this one here is a little bit newer compared to the other two. Up in this little compartment here, which would normally be used for storing lipsticks, I have minis of Pat McGrath's lip glosses. Again, I will refer you to my lip gloss video, but I have a couple of her like Opulust lip glosses. Those are the really sparkly ones. I have the trio that comes with all the three reds, gorgeous. And out of sheer nostalgia, and because I just really love this color and I want to use it as a reference if I ever search for a bullet lipstick in this particular color, I have kept this lipstick from Notoriously Morbid. It's the only or one of the very few liquid lipsticks that I have kept in my collection. It is a October 2016 Vanishing Cabinet lipstick, so you can imagine that's fucking old. However, it is a really gorgeous color. This is my favorite type of like brown lipstick because it's like this like warm bronzy brown, and I think maybe I have something similar from NARS, but I'm just going to leave this swatch here, and when we reach the second drawer I'm going to swatch it next to the NARS one to see if it's similar, and maybe then I can finally get rid of this one. In here we have another random lipstick collection container. Again, I've spoken about this in my recent makeup collection video where I talked about my lipsticks specifically, so again I'm not going to go through these in a lot of detail, and I'm going to refer you to this video up here if you would like to see it. For the rest, this drawer is pretty empty. Alright, moving into this drawer, again I have spoken about this drawer very recently because I did a lipstick collection video very recently and I spoke about all of my lipsticks, so I feel like it's completely unnecessary for me to really go through a lot of detail through these. However, I am going to swatch this lipstick from NARS, which I was talking about earlier. This is the shade Deborah, and I feel like maybe it's as close as we're going to get to that brown. Here I have swatches of the two lipsticks, and I feel like I pretty much have a dupe for that liquid lipstick. For the rest, we have a bunch of different lipsticks. You guys have seen how I store my lipsticks. These are all of my Urban Decay lipsticks. These are a few liquid lipsticks that I have kept and probably will never use, but I'm keeping because God knows why. I have all of my Pat McGrath lipsticks over here and my two Suki lipsticks right up here. I have a bunch of H&M cream lipsticks. I love those. I have a video on those as well with actual lip swatches, so I am going to link that video for you as well. I have also two Lisa Eldridge lipsticks. I have shown these lipsticks on many occasions as well, and two Colourpop lipsticks. So this drawer is where I keep my blush and highlighter palettes. And all the way here in the back you see is where I collect my spare Real Techniques sponges. So I have a bunch of Real Techniques sponges that I've purchased a while back from iHerb, and I just keep in here, and I have like plenty backups, and especially now that I've started using brushes to apply my foundation, I'm probably going to have these backups for like the next decade. But anyway, that's irrelevant. So let's go through the contents of this drawer real quick. Like I said, most of these are actually highlighter palettes, only a handful of them are blush palettes. But let me just show you real quick. You're going to see some of these coming back in a Shop My Stash video. This is one that you're going to see in Shop My Stash video. This is the Urban Decay and Gwen Stefani blush highlighter and bronzer palette. Really gorgeous packaging. I'm never getting rid of this just because of the packaging. One that you actually recently saw in a video is this palette from Zoeva, which I'm still really doubting whether I want to keep because I'm not super in love with the formula. This is a throwback from Kat Von D that I have kept, not because of Kat Von D herself, but because it was a present from Amber. She got this from me and sent it from the US at a time when I couldn't get it in Europe, and I am really grateful for that, and because of that I will just keep this as a memory and as a token of my friendship with Amber. Here we have a couple of Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighter palettes. I have my Aurora Glow Kit, which I really love, and in particular these two shades here, the shade Eclipse and Lyra, are my favorites, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to keep this palette for as long as I have these two shades and I haven't panned them. The rest of the shades are not really my cup of tea. Every now and then I will use them for highlighter or as an inner corner highlight, but other than that I basically go in this palette for these two shades. This is a bit of a mix-up of the Sugar and the... fuck, I can't remember the name of the other glow kit. But basically in here you have 4 shades that come from 2 different glow kits. This is indeed Starburst, this is indeed Gumdrop, but these two are Butterscotch and this one is Taffy. And Butterscotch does actually come in this, but also in the other glow kit that I decluttered. And Taffy is from that other glow kit that I can't remember the name of because I didn't really like the shade Marshmallow, so I decluttered that one. I really still love the formula of these. I use them all the time, but they're ginormous, so I'm probably never going to go through them. And let's go through the Anastasia Beverly Hills kits. I have the Dream Glow Kit as well. And I still really love this glow kit. I've used it a lot, especially this shade, and this shade. Like the more pinky, like very stark pinky shades, I haven't used as much, although I like to use them as inner corner highlights. As of recently, I've noticed though that I'm starting to feel like this formula looks a little too chunky on my skin. So we will see, but for now I'm keeping it because I do still enjoy it. Then up here we have hiding something that you have seen so many times in my videos because I absolutely love it. This is my Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Highlighting Trio. I use this stuff all the freaking time, which you can't probably see because the dome shapes are still pretty domed. But trust me, I use this stuff all the time. I love it as inner corner highlights, as toppers for other eyeshadows, as actual highlighters. Just this formula looks beautiful on the skin. Another formula that looks really beautiful on the skin is this trio from NARS. This was from my holiday collection a couple of years ago, and it contains these 3 shades. They're super like basic bitch shades, but even though they're basic bitch shades, they do look really flawless on the skin. This is a really forgiving formula, so I think it's a crowd pleaser, and I definitely have been enjoying using it, especially lately. Then here we have a little bit of a sort of like self-made palette with highlighters from Luxie Beauty and Divina Cosmetics. These 2 are from Luxie Beauty, these 4 are from Divina Cosmetics. They are like your classic like duochrome type highlighters, and I have really enjoyed using these over the years. So, where were we? Yes, we got another palette over here that I'm not really sure what to do with. This is the NYX Perfect Filter palette. I really like this palette. I think that it's relatively decent quality, and I think this blue over here is just such a beautiful blue. I have nothing else quite like it, so I'm keeping it mostly for that blue. I am keeping my Urban Decay Gwen Stefani eyeshadow palette, of course. It has a bunch of like basic bitch shades, but I think that's the great thing about it. I really like this taupey gray over here. It's a really great shade, quite unique in my collection. So, you know, and a throwback. I'm never getting rid of this palette. And we got 2 smallie ones here. This is the Just My Luck from Colourpop and the Enchanted Secrets from Linda Hallberg. I recently used this one in a Shop My Stash, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. The Just My Luck palette is really pretty. It's an eyeshadow palette of green eyeshadows. They are really beautiful, especially this shade here in the middle. The shade Mary Jane is absolutely gorgeous. Look how beautiful. It's just sparkly and shiny, and it has this gorgeous like lime green tone to it. Beautiful. And it was also very inexpensive. I bought it on sale. I'm not really sure what to do with this palette, the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. This is a fantastic palette and I've really enjoyed using it. However, it has been sort of surpassed by her grown-up, more sophisticated sister, the Natasha Denona Bronze palette, which, as you guys know, I have. However, there's one shade in here that I can't really live without just yet, and that is this really dark brown shade over here, which you can also tell is one of the most used shades in this palette. I think I'm going to pull this out for one of my next Shop My Stash videos to do a look especially with this palette and this eyeshadow. I love to do smoky looks with this and then put something like very contrasting in my inner corners. And it's a solid palette, you guys. It's a beautiful palette. I don't have the heart to part with it, so for now it's going to stay. We got the Makeup Addiction Meadow palette here. It is a beautiful palette. I did substitute this shade for another shade, so this over here is not the original shade that came with this palette. This is one of their highlighter shades, but I substituted it in here because I like how vibrant it is. This is a decent palette. The quality of the eyeshadows is very comparable to Juvia's Place. I just need to use it a bit more. I bought this in 2018 when I was going through a phase of like trying a bunch of different brands. Here we have the Dark Room palette by Stilazzi, done in collaboration with Jordan Liberty. I adore Jordan Liberty. I think he's a beautiful human. He's a very talented makeup artist and like a photographer of his work. And I really enjoy this palette. I think it's a beautiful, like, all-in-one palette. If you want decent quality eyeshadows and a bunch of different looks that you can create with one palette, this is fantastic. I have already featured this in a Shop My Stash video and it's definitely not going to be the last time. Now, the Juvia's Place Taupe palette. I had very high expectations and hopes for this palette, but I have no idea what Juvia's has done to their matte eyeshadows, but the ones in here are just fucking crappy, you guys. I don't like them. They have this like very like thin formula to them and they blend out into nothing. Like, look at this. Look how deep it is in the pan, and when you blend it out, it just shears into nothing. I don't know. I don't really like the mattes in this eyeshadow palette, but I do really like this eyeshadow. So I am going to keep this palette for the 3 shades here that are in a more metallic formula, where I think Juvia's Place also just really shines, but especially this one here. You have seen these two already featured in my Shop My Stash videos. This is the Sweet Peach from Too Faced, which for now I'm going to keep because a bunch of these shades, like this one, these peaches here, these more like uncooked chicken shades, they're all like basic bitch shades that I use all the time, and if for nothing else I'm going to keep this palette for that and try to use them up more when I do like random looks, when I just need where I just need like a little bit of a brown through my crease. This one, on the other hand, I just like it so much every time I use it. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it, and I'm going to continue using it until I have panned the eyeshadows that I really enjoy in here, which are these two, this one, these two, this one, and this one. And like the more like colorful shades, not really, but like the neutral shades in here are just beautiful quality. I really love them, and I've actually enjoyed every single time I've used this palette. So I feel like, actually surprisingly to me, the Sweet Peach I would be more ready to let go of compared to the Bonbons. I really like the Bonbons. Okay, 2 more Urban Decay palettes we got in here. The Urban Decay Electric palette, which is staying mostly for nostalgia, and because it is one of the few like palettes that I have with like more neon type of colors. I so much love this palette. I just have feelings for this palette. I can't get rid of it. This one, on the other hand, I still use and I get a lot of joy out of. This is the Moondust palette. The Moondust formula from Urban Decay is kind of like the predecessor of the special shades from Pat McGrath. These are also really beautiful, really sparkly, and I have really enjoyed using this palette, as you can tell, because there's a lot of use on some of these shades. Then we have 2 little random things here from Notoriously Morbid. Let's talk about this one. This one I actually swatched the other day. I swatched the red shade and it almost like crumbled into my hands, so I have to be really careful with this. These are beautiful. A lot of these are like duochromy and sparkly shades, and I should definitely pull this out for a Shop My Stash video. However, I am a little bit concerned that if I dip into this shade one more time, it's just going to crumble out of the pan. Then we have this one here, which is supposedly a I think, highlighter palette. I don't really use most of it. I use primarily this shade because I mix it in, and I like to use it in my inner corner highlights as like a excuse me, as like a very beautiful like lilac sheen, because in the inner corner it just looks absolutely spectacular. And for the rest, you can already see that this one has started to crumble, which I see for the first time, by the way. Let's take a trip down memory lane with my sugar pill quads here. This is the Burning Heart quad, whoopsie, and this is the Heartbreaker quad. These are, I don't know, some of the OG super colorful eyeshadows that I ever had in my collection. This shade here, Acid Berry, is undupable. I have nothing like it, and I am never getting rid of these quads because I just love what they represent for me. They represent a memory, they represent a time of makeup history that, you know, will never repeat itself. And I felt like something was missing. This is the Feline Fancy eyeshadow palette. It was part of a Valentine's release several years ago, and the other day I was swatching the red shade and I was just like so flabbergasted at how beautiful and smooth and gorgeous it is, and I was so mad at myself for never using it. Look how beautiful and vibrant this is. And this shade here is a duochrome, and one of my favorite types of duochromes at that is like a peachy pink. And it has this gorgeous like satin shimmer formula, meaning you can use it as a one and done eyeshadow. I'm definitely going to be pulling this out for a Shop My Stash. Okay, we have almost reached the tallest setting of my tripod. So in here we have another eyeshadow palette and single eyeshadow drawer. And I'm going to try to go through this a little bit more quickly, because otherwise this video is going to be 500 years long. Here we have a select collection of my Makeup Geek eyeshadows and some Color Drain eyeshadows. So all of these are Makeup Geek, and over here these are my Color Drain singles. Then we have a bunch of, I'm pretty sure all of these are from Luxie Beauty. I don't know what's going on with Luxie Beauty, but their website seems very much like a abridged version of what it used to be. And I have no idea what's going on in here. Why is there an eyeshadow missing here? Maybe I gifted it away to someone, and oh yeah, possibly I gifted this away to someone, and I should probably put something else in here because this is bothering me. Anyway, these were Luxie eyeshadows. Over here we have, for more Luxie eyeshadows, all of them blue, as you can see. Here we have a random selection of, I think this is an eyeshadow that I got as a gift from Mia, and I'm so dumb, I completely forgot that I own it, and I should use it because it is just so fucking stunning. Look at this. Why am I not using this? Because I'm dumb and I don't like to use my single eyeshadows. Look how beautiful that is. I don't know what's wrong with me. Here we have my Little Cosmetics single eyeshadows. I really enjoy these, especially the shimmer formula from Little. I really enjoy because I feel like it's a very smooth satin formula that is very user-friendly, and just, they're not the most impactful high shine, high metallic eyeshadows, but they're very easy to work with and they look very flattering on the eye. Not a huge fan of their matte stuff. Okay, what do we have here? We have more singles from ABH. Oh, we don't really have that many anymore. I've decluttered a bunch of these, so I have a little empty palette here that I can probably use for Shop My Stash videos. These are a few singles from Anastasia that I would like to keep. This one here is Champagne. What's this? Pink Champagne. Pink Champagne is one of the most unique eyeshadows that I have in my collection. It's like a taupey, silvery pink. It's so beautiful. These two I don't remember the names of, but I really like this one because it's like that gorgeous, like olive green. Okay, oh my goodness, I really need to be quicker. We have the Sassy Siennas here from Dose of Colors, which is a beautiful quintet of warm brown and coral eyeshadows. I really like to use this in conjunction with my singles, and especially my Colourpop Super Shock eyeshadows. We have a little sextuplet of eyeshadows here from Nabla. These three are in their special I want to say Celestial, but I'm not sure whether it's the Celestial formula. It's like the special one. This is the one that everyone talks about. This is the shade Alchemy, which is in fact really, really beautiful. Gorgeous duochrome. These are two mattes. This one in particular, the deep blue, is gorgeous. Then we have a palette that I'm currently trying to declutter actually. This is the Sparkle Baby palette from Sugar Pill, which I didn't really want to get rid of because again it's a throwback. This packaging doesn't exist anymore, but the eyeshadows I'm never going to use. I don't really need another hot pink because I already have like 1,000 from Pat McGrath. I really like this one though. I really like the shade Candy Crush. You know what? If nobody buys this eyeshadow palette, I am going to keep it because dang, I really like Candy Crush. Okay, we have my little improvised palette here from JD Glow. This says Makeup Addiction Cosmetics. It's not the Makeup Addiction Cosmetics things anymore. It's not the original Makeup Addiction Cosmetics because I completely depotted that. And I put some of my favorite JD Glow eyeshadows in here. Those are like the special super sparkly formula. They are really beautiful. Then we have three palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. We got the Prism palette, which the only reason honestly I'm keeping it for is for this shade here, the shade Dimension, which is a gorgeous, very interesting purple. I have the original Norvina palette because I think it is just such a beautiful neutral palette. Like this one so much. And of course I have the original Subculture because some of the tones in this eyeshadow palette are just so unique, so beautiful, so grungy. I love this green, I adore this bronzy shade over here. Axis is so stunning. The two like orange and yellow shades I really love. Melt Cosmetics Melt Cosmetics, I actually missed this one, sorry. Smoke Sessions palette, Melt Cosmetics, absolutely beautiful. Love this. Can't wait to pull it out for a Shop My Stash, although I've actually used it fairly recently. I love especially like the olive greens in this palette and the gold. Oh my goodness, they are stunning, stunning, stunning. This shade Mean Green, absolutely beautiful. I just really like this palette. A palette from Melt that I unfortunately don't like and I am trying to get rid of is the Millennial Pinks palette. I just did not get along with the metallic shades in this palette. The mattes are fine, I did not get along with the metallics, so I'm trying to get rid of her. Let's end on a high note when it comes to Melt Cosmetics. This is the Rust palette. I fucking love this eyeshadow palette. It is just everything I need in a neutral eyeshadow palette. Beautiful. An eyeshadow palette that I bought with so much like joy and anticipation, and I'm not getting the use out of it that I should, is the Paleo palette from Cliona Cosmetics. I just have this like super fucked up relationship with Cliona Cosmetics. I want to love them as much as everyone else, and yet I can never quite bring myself to. These are really beautiful eyeshadows. A lot of these are stunning duochrome shades like this one, this one. I always feel myself wishing just a little bit more from these eyeshadows, and that's one of the reasons that I don't love this eyeshadow palette. I like it, I just don't love it. I do, however, love how gorgeous the handmade packaging is. Okie doke, another drawer that I don't really want to be spending too much time on because I in fact actually made a video again during my makeup collection end of the year things last year where I talked about my bronzers and blushes. So I have spoken about all of these in the video that I'm going to link right up here for you to watch. But basically these are a bunch of my powder blushes. I have some Nabla, I have two of my favorites from the Too Faced heart-shaped ones. I have a couple of Makeup Geek. I have some from Becca Cosmetics. I have one from H&M. My newest ones that you haven't really seen in that makeup collection video, but I have made special video on it. A special video on it that I can also link up for you in the cards if I can, because I think I already have like more than 5 videos linked up in the cards. But these are my Daniel Sandler watercolor blushes and highlighters. These came in a set. I absolutely fucking love them. Actually, a product from this drawer that I'm thinking about decluttering and just plain getting rid of is this one from Tarte. I was thinking of keeping this just for the packaging and like repressing something else in it, because you cannot really get anything out of here anymore. Like nothing's coming off. Already almost nothing was coming off when I bought it, but at least something was coming off, and now almost nothing is coming off, and I just have a really hard time decluttering this. But I think I'm just going to toss it. That's it, done. Okay, you guys, so here you have a very sad drawer where I don't actually keep that much. I have my ColourPop Super Shock eyeshadows. I have kept a bunch of them, although I think this one is just going to go because I'm never going to use it, like literally not once, ever. And the rest I'm going to keep because I really love them. This one I had to repurchase because my previous one dried out, and it's just one of the most beautiful vibrant greens. I love the ColourPop neutral eyeshadows because they just have so much like sparkle and impact to them, and they look so beautiful in a neutral look. Let me put one of these in here. Then I have some random pigments that I have kept. This is a really beautiful like orange copper from Inglot, and I have two pigments that I have kept from Sugar Pill. I don't know whether you guys remember when they brought these out, like the really vibrant neon ones. This is the shade Helatronic. Look how much fun this is. How can I ever get rid of it? I think it's going to make a really fun liner, and you know, it's just a powder. It doesn't really go bad. One of the classic Sugar Pill pigments, this is the shade Lumi, which is your classic, you know, like purpley green duochrome. I don't know whether you will be able to tell because it's getting pretty difficult to swatch things over here, but I do like using this one as a topper for other shades in my inner corner highlight, and it's just such a throwback. This corner over here is all loose glitters that I should just fucking get rid of because I'm never going to use. I'm going to keep them in here for now because someday I'm going to find someone who would really like to have these, and I'm going to declutter them. So basically this is like a little declutter corner over here, but it's like loose glitters that I'm fucking never going to use. And we have now reached the two drawers of my Alex that I cannot anymore do with my tripod, so you're going to have to excuse my shaky hands. So this drawer over here and this drawer over here are what I call my shame drawers, because they're full of my loose eyeshadows from Notoriously Morbid, Darling Girl, My Pretty Zombie, Concrete Minerals, you know, the original indies that I used to ramble about on my YouTube channel. I never use these. These are all of my mattes from Notoriously Morbid because they are fucking stunning, their formula is amazing, and they come in a variety of really interesting, unique colors. I just never use them. And here are the palettes upon palettes of eyeshadows. Well, not all of them are in palettes. These are a lot of my Concrete Minerals and My Pretty Zombie eyeshadows that I haven't had the heart to press. And here we have bunches upon bunches of palettes of eyeshadows that I have pressed. Guess how many times I have used them? If you guessed 0, you would be completely correct. There you have it. They look beautiful. They are very satisfying to look at, but I just fucking never use them. So there you have it, my shame drawers. Don't ask how many more palettes I have in here. It's shameful. Just let's not talk about it. And now that we've been through the shame drawers, let me show you my shrine. Dun, da, da. The apple of my eye, the pride of my collection, the icing of the cake, of course, my Pat McGrath eyeshadows. So here are some loose sequins that come with a bunch of Pat McGrath crap that I keep here as decoration, and they're also really nice as little elements to put here and there when I take thumbnails or I take product shots, not shocks. Again, Pat McGrath eyeshadows. We have this black statue of a cat, which I absolutely love, and it was a present from one of you. Hi Denise! And here, hiding in the back, we have a bunch more eyeshadow palettes, but I'm going to now take those on, put them on my desk and quickly go through them. Alrighty, let me quickly show you what's in this container, because actually you're like pretty familiar with most of the contents of it. I've talked about a lot of it so many times. Let's talk about some Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. This is my gold palette, a present from a dear, dear friend. I adore this eyeshadow palette, the crown jewel of Natasha Denona's eyeshadow palette collection. This is the bronze palette from Natasha Denona. I absolutely love this. I think it's a warm toned neutral lover's dream. Then we have a palette which really fucking surprised me, which is the Glam palette from Natasha Denona, which is an absolute jewel of a palette. I love this palette so much more than I anticipated. Then we have a palette that I should probably declutter at some point, because even though it's a really fun palette, I never fucking use it. This is the Good Sport palette from ColourPop. I do keep it around because I really like this shade, and some of the neutrals, but overall, for whatever reason, I don't feel inspired by this palette. Then we have the Nabla Soul Blooming palette, which with the upcoming spring is definitely going to be making an appearance in my Shop My Stash video. It's just so beautiful, I love it. Then we have a bunch of the 6 pans that I have from Pat McGrath. We have the little Subversive Levian Rose palette, which I recently featured in one of my pet pairing videos. These are the 3 palettes that I have from the Opulence 2018 collection. I absolutely love them. All of them have been featured in my ranking my Pat McGrath palettes playlist, so I'm going to link that somewhere for you if you want to check that out. Then I have a bunch of Juvia's Place palettes. This is the Tribe palette, which is my second favorite palette from Juvia's Place. I absolutely love it. These shadows, the metallic shades, are so beautiful. This deep green is absolutely stunning. This is such a fun little duochrome shade with a gorgeous yellow-green duochrome to it. Then we have my #1 favorite palette from Juvia's Place, which is the Saharan 2. Oh my goodness, I can never get over how beautiful the metallics in this palette are. Like, all of these 6 shades over here are absolutely fucking stunning. The mattes are also really decent, a little bit too deep for me to use right off the bat, but they're beautiful as deepening shades, and if I'm really careful I can just use this one through my crease. A palette from Juvia's Place that I don't really use all that often is the Deuce palette. I do really like a lot of the shades in here, but there are also some shades that I'm just not super in love with. I love the mint. I think this is a really fun shade. This one is really beautiful. It's like it looks white in the pan, but it's actually a really beautiful like pink duochrome. I really like this shade. This light bubblegummy pink is really beautiful. This shade is actually looking more and more interesting to me now that I'm a bit more into like these neutral types of shades, so I should probably, there's something weird about the combination of colors, but overall there are shades in here that I really like. Then we have the Afrique palette, which is also beautiful. I really like all of these like fun, colorful eyeshadows. The metallics in here are also really beautiful. And the last palette that I have here from Juvia's is the Nubian 2 palette, another favorite of mine. I really like this eyeshadow palette. It doesn't look super exciting, but for whatever reason it excites me, and every time I pull it out to do a look with it, I'm always super happy with the look that I come out with. You can go neutral, you can go colorful, and I don't know what it is about these eyeshadows, I just really like them. And last but not least, we have this super fun palette from Zurich Cosmetics, which I love using in the summer. Zurich Cosmetics went a little bit under the radar. I feel like they've come back now, but I'm not really sure that this palette is back in stock. Whatever, I really enjoyed this shade. This shade, Tigress, is the most beautiful metallic like satin tangerine shade ever, and it's just such a fun little palette. The formula is pretty decent, and I love using this eyeshadow palette, especially in the summer months. And let's not completely ignore her. This is my very first Juvia's Place palette. This is the Juvia's Magic palette. I still have it in the big format. I still really enjoy this palette. You can do neutral, you can do warm, you can do like really smoky and colorful. You got duochromes in here, such as this one. I don't know, really decent palette. I really enjoy it. Then let me show you a little bit what's going on here on my vanity, aside from a really messy situation. So over here we have a bunch of holders, which they're like candle holders, but I use them for storing primarily my brushes. This one has a bunch of things that I probably should declutter, so let's just do that. These are some liquid liners that I have from Kiko that I honestly to God never fucking use, so they're gonna go. I have a backup lip liner here from Catrice. I have a brush spoolie. I have my mascaras. These are currently the 3 mascaras that I have. This is actually not a mascara, it's my Estee Lauder primer. This is the Dark Star from Pat McGrath, and this is a MAC mascara that I got as a present with a purchase recently, so like I got the whole thing for free. Awesome. I have my little curler here. I have this completely useless brush from Spectrum Collections. This is, I keep it mostly because it just looks really fun on my vanity and Nicola likes to play with it, but frankly it's completely useless as a brush. Then we have a bunch of my Zoeva and Spectrum brushes in this little holder. You will notice that all of my brushes, or most of my brushes, are clean because I'm very anal about keeping my brushes clean. I clean my eye brushes after every use, and I clean my face brushes once a week. Here you have some of my face brushes. So we have some random ones, we have some Spectrum ones. We have also some from M-Brush by Maxineshka, which I really love. And last but not least, we have this little container here where I keep my beautiful Full Day Japanese brushes. I don't really know what else to do with them, so I want to keep them separate. But I've spoken about my recent Full Day purchases in a special video, separate video, so I'm going to link that for you as well if you're interested. And before we go into the last two components, which are the drawers of my desk, let's explore this little corner of super random shit. I keep here on display my two highlighters from McGrath, my little meteorites from Guerlain, this gorgeous packaging from the Glow Lust from Auric. The Glow Lust is not in here, I'm just keeping this because I like the packaging. Then we have this little container where I have Fix Plus, ethanol. I think this is a decanted Fix Plus, it's not the Makeup Forever one anymore. Little sponges are in here with two perfume samples that I just realized I put in here. And I also have these Q-tips because my eyes tend to start watering and I sometimes need to clean up the watering eyeballs with Q-tips. We have a cat here who wants to leave. Alsjeblieft. And last but not least, we have my two drawers. I'm sorry you're going to have to deal with my shaky hands because my I can't really set this up properly. But we have this little drawer here where I will take you through very quickly. We have over here my gel liners from Inglot as well as Duraline. We have my Vanity, what is this called again? How Many Carats highlighter, which is the original like spongy highlighter from Fenty, which I really enjoy. I have the little stick highlighter here from the Tutti Frutti collection from Too Faced. I have a highlighter here from Notoriously Morbid. This is I Burn, I Pine, I Perish, which is a reference to, you guys tell me. Beautiful, like duochromy, like peachy, coppery highlighter. I really like the formula of this. Then we have my little highlighter quad here from Clionadh that I actually use quite often recently because I use a lot of these highlighters not only on my face but also as inner corner highlights. I've put my Clionadh multichromes in this little palette that I've shoved in this drawer in the hopes that I'm going to use them more often if they are in front of me. I do really like to use this shade a lot in combination with the Rust palette from Melt Cosmetics, and the rest I'm probably going to have to start using more in the summer because I just don't really have anything to pair them with right now. We have this random liquid eyeshadow from Urban Decay that I'm going to declutter because I'm fucking never going to use it. Then we have a bunch of my Stila Glitter and Glow eyeshadows. Last I checked, these were the only three that were not completely dried out. I'm probably going to have to check again if they're still fine. Then we have this Essence Pure Nude highlighter. The only reason I keep this is because it works really well as a highlighter on your Cupid's bow. It's a very smooth, very subtle highlighter, so it works perfectly for that. Otherwise I have no use for this. I have my powders here, so my two Hourglass powders, my Pat McGrath powder. Then I got a mini of this by Terry Hyaluronic Hydro powder as a present from gift with purchase, actually, with I think the bronze palette from Natasha Denona from Beautylish. And I have this loose powder from Benefit, which actually a friend of mine gifted this to me because she didn't know what to do with it. Then we have a bunch of single eyeshadows in this drawer, as well as the Natasha Denona Mini Coat palette, which now I see I have shoved in here, just so I never see it. Okay, whatever. I have my two Auric Smoke Reflects in here. I've done videos on both of these, so I'm not going to show them to you. I have a couple of Moon Dust eyeshadows here from Urban Decay. This is the shade Solstice, which happens to be... if I can open it. This is the shade Solstice, which happens to be one of my favorites. I've kept some of my favorite Moon Dust. I did declutter some. I have this random loose eyeshadow from Makeup Forever, which is more like a topper. I have the Hourglass Scattered Light in the shade Smoke, which is really beautiful. I have two loose pigments here from Inglot that I use a lot. This one in particular, the shade 54, is a beautiful coppery duochrome shade that I really like to use a lot. Then we have this highlighter here from Notoriously Morbid, which I keep because it makes the most beautiful, shiny, reflective green inner corner highlight. It's originally a highlighter, but I don't use it as a highlighter. I use it as an inner corner highlight. And a bunch of my single eyeshadows from McGrath that I use and have talked about a lot, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them. In this corner here we have a bunch of highlighters, which I have... have I talked about my highlighters on my channel recently? I don't think so. But anyway, I have some from Kiko, I have my Nabla ones that I really love, I have one from Makeup Geek, I have a Ofra one that I do use on occasion. There is the Mary Luminizer here, which I'm keeping only for nostalgia purposes because it was a present from a friend of mine. Otherwise it's such a super basic bitch highlighter that I just never use. Okay, we are at the very last step, you guys. This is the last drawer that we have to go through. Here in the back we have my little notebook where I write video ideas. We have my strobe cream from MAC. We have a foundation here from Estee Lauder. This is the Double Wear foundation in the shade 3-in-1, which I can only use when I'm super tan in the summer. A friend of mine gifted this to me because it didn't match her. Then we have the Hourglass Vanish Liquid Foundation. Super thick, super full coverage. I need to mix this with something. Then we have the Professional primer here from Benefit, which I never use because I never use primers anymore. Again, given to me by that friend who gave me also the powder from Benefit. I probably need to get rid of this. Then we have some really fun liquid liners here from a local brand called Hema. I'm not going to spend too much time on them because most of you don't even know what Hema is, but I really like the colors, I really like the liners, they're a really decent formula and I like to keep them around. I have a bunch of the glitter liners here from Urban Decay. My favorites definitely being Distortion and Midnight Cowboy. I've used these two a lot. I've also kept some of my liquid glitters here from Darling Girl. Over here in this corner we have my powder bronzers and two of my cream ones. This is the Fenty cream one and the milk one. I've spoken about my bronzers as well recently, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Then in this random drawer here we have a bunch of my eye pencils. Most of them are from Essence. We have a couple from MAC or Catrice, but like it's a mixed bag. Then in here we have some super random shit. We have this little Inglot eyeshadow palette where I keep this shade as my brow bone highlight. These two are actually originally eyebrow shades and you can see I've used this one quite a bit. I don't really use this as a powder, but I think the packaging is super cute and it works really well as a brow bone highlight to blend out eyeshadows. We have a bunch of really random shit in here, like the NYX Jumbo pencils. I have still Black Bean and a green emerald one that I don't know why I'm keeping. Oh! I forgot to show you my prized possession here, my Kiko eyeshadow sticks, which I love and adore and I speak about in every fucking single video that I ever make, so there you have it. Then we have my concealers. This is a pretty easy part of my drawer. We have my concealer from Clarins, which I use quite often. We have the two shades that I picked up from First Aid Beauty. We have my Salmon Skin from Skin Food, which I've spoken about for so many years because for many years this was the only thing that I used. Then we have my lip liners as well as my MAC lip primer over here. I use these daily. We have some random, this is my Departed eyeshadow primer from MAC. This is my glitter glue Pixie Epoxy. House of Lashes, like lash glue that I never use because I fucking never use lashes, but hey, if I ever wanted to, I have a full package of this. I have my Deep Brow from Anastasia Beverly Hills, which I only ever use as a liner. I have my favorite brow product, which is the Brow Artist Plumper from L'Oreal. We have some spare spoolies here just to comb mascara through my lashes. We have the brow powder from ABH, which I'm trying to pan or at least use up as much as possible. And last but not least, we have foundations. This is actually not a foundation, this is my Glow Lust by Glow by Auric, which I fucking love and adore. And these are the foundations that I currently have in my collection, except for the Vanish one, which is over here, and the dark Estee Lauder one. Everything else is in here. We have the Face and Body from MAC, which I like to use particularly in the summer. the Vanish stick from Hourglass, which I'm not a huge fan of. I really like my Pat McGrath one, my Estee Lauder Double Wear Nude, as well as the Dior Face and Body. I want to say this is the Face and Body from Dior. No, this is the Dior Backstage foundation. Really love this one as well. And so guys, that was it. This was my whole makeup collection. It is going to be a bitch to edit this video, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that this satisfies your need to see my makeup, even though I can't feature it in my Shop My Stash videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!